Welcome back to the internet once again. It seems like entitled parents is what everybody wants to hear, so looks like that's what we're doing. So this one is called Entitled Grandparents Decide to Choose Between Grandkids. So I got married last year, but before that, me and my now wife settled on a venue and then started the process of whittling down guests. We had a ceremony capacity of 80. I come from a quite large family with a few friends. She has a small family, but lots of friends. Mostly we share her friend group. However, this did lead us to making a couple of rules. Number 1, only inviting family members to the day part of the wedding we had both actually seen during our 5-year relationship. No random cousins or uncles who never enter our lives. Number 2, no one below 16. We came to our own conclusion that we would rather have more adults who are more likely to enjoy the day instead of kids who may not. Also, if we invited all the kids in the family, that would be a quarter of our capacity. So when we got engaged, my grandparents were very happy and immediately told me to invite who we wanted and to sod everyone else. So, do what we want. Once we made the decision regarding the venue, the decision around inviting children followed pretty much after. This is where the drama begins. The oldest grandchildren, to their oldest son, they had 3 sons, my dad and 2 uncles. My dad and his oldest brother all have kids over 16. Youngest brother, however, has 4, all under 11. This uncle and aunt tend to use my grandparents a lot of extra child care and support, which is fine. However, it's led to this situation where they are regarded as their babies and need extra attention. However, the choice we made led to my grandparents immediately saying that we won't come to the wedding if they aren't invited. This took all of us, my parents included, by surprise, especially as we heard that the auntie and uncle affected were fine with it. However, my grandparents strong-armed them into agreeing with their position. This led to my dad having a conversation with the grandparents to try and make them see sense. I never got the details. All I know is that it ended with my dad leaving the house after telling my grandmother that the word stubborn would be set on her grave, and he's usually a very controlled individual. 2 days later, my sister, who was 21 at the time, dropped by theirs to say hello. She was there chatting normally, and my grandma just cuts in and goes, "So then what do you have to say about it all?" This took her aback, but she defended our position. My grandma argued that we were picking on them and always believed we were better than that family. She also said she wanted a nice picture of all the grandkids together. My sister asked how she could be choosing between the grandkids. Doesn't she love us all the same? She didn't respond for a few seconds, before eventually saying, "Well, they are younger, they are our babies." My sister left in tears. I felt terrible and responsible for the fallout. My dad talked me out of going around and having it out with them. He said leave and we will see if they come around. Time passes and I'm delivering invites to relatives. I was also rushing to meet a friend, so it wasn't very much in and out of the houses. I arrived at their house and only remembered the situation as I walked in. I handed them the invite and was immediately told that they would not be attending. I was stunned into silence. I told them that the decision wasn't personal and all kids were welcome for the evening party. They told me it wasn't fair and it should be everyone or they won't come at all. I finally crack and shout at them. I state I didn't realize my grandparents' attendance was conditional. They reply with, "How do you think this makes us feel?" I blurt out, "How do you feel? My grandparents aren't coming to my freaking wedding?" They asked me to leave. I walk to the door, turn around, walk back and grab the invite, say, "You won't be needing this," and leave. I haven't seen them since. On a plus note, the wedding was amazing. The additional friends we invited really made it a party atmosphere, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I've decided it was their loss, and it's something they will have to live with. Why would their grandparents be so picky on wanting all of the kids to be at the wedding? Nobody wants kids at a wedding anyway. They just disrupt the whole thing. On to the next story, called Entitled Mom, who's my aunt, decides that her 7-year-old waste of oxygen is worth my entire debit card balance. So for a tiny bit of backstory, my entire maternal side of the family tree is just an endless stream of r/just no family incidents. They're on the complete opposite side of the political spectrum from me and my parents, and so naturally that means we're subhuman, right? Last weekend, for some unknown reason, we were told, "Hey, we're having dinner at person's house. You'll be here in an hour, right?" Okay, fine. We begrudgingly make our way over. During the course of this, I leave my wallet out of my pocket for about 10 seconds, which is enough for my aunt to just yoink that thing out of my wallet and hand it to her son. I didn't notice since I got an alert that my account was locked for suspicious transaction. I had $80 before, and now I had 24 cents. After confronting my cousin, who spent $80 on friggin' Clash of Clans gems, he said, "My mommy said I could use it." I could tell it wasn't going to be of any use talking to him, so I went to my entitled aunt, and the conversation went something like this. I say, "Excuse me for a second, did you let your son borrow my card?" She says, "Yes, I did, why?" "Strange, I don't remember giving it to you." "Oh, that's okay, we're all family here." I say, "We're all family here? That's called theft." She says, "Well, excuse me, as a family member you should learn to share and not be so selfish." It was at this point that my dad got the idea to try and wrap up his wife's conversation and get their stuff ready to leave. This probably wasn't going to end well. I say, "Again, that's called theft. Using a card without the cardholder's permission is illegal. Unless you want me to..." "I don't care. You Cheeto supporters made us pay for the wall. You'll give something back to pay for my son." I say, "If you want to make this political, we'll be taking our leave. I'm not here to argue this. You can settle it with my bank then when I have those charges revoked." We left and thought that was the end of it, but the entitled aunt just had to go one more. She called my mom and tried to play the victim card, claiming, "You refused to let my son play his game," and started getting political and rude when I asked. Mom's immediate response, in the "I'm sick of your crap" mom voice, was to say, "You know I was in the same room, right? Don't try to BS me about your son. You're the one that can't respect boundaries. You're the one that's in the wrong. Now don't talk to me," and hung up. Oh well, entitled aunt is still going to be an entitled aunt, unfortunately. This really doesn't have a satisfying end. Maybe the bank will change that. And then an edit at the end says, "I know my options. It's been less than 24 hours. No, I haven't gotten any money back. Yes, I filed with the bank. And yes, I plan to file a police report after she makes a bigger joke of herself tomorrow." Okay, so here's something that I always have to wonder. Whenever an entitled person in these stories says, "You should learn to share and not be so selfish," what I have to ask them is, okay, so what are you going to be sharing that makes up for what I just shared with you? I mean, don't claim that somebody's not sharing with you if you can't do anything in return. Alright, so this next one's called "Grandmother Tries to Kill Me for Being Smarter Than Her Grandson." There's a lot of entitled grandparents this time. So this happened quite a while ago when I was about 3 or 4 years old, thus I don't remember all the details. As a kid, I didn't realize what was happening, and most of what I know about it my mother later told me, so there may be some bias from her, but I also know that from my dad and granddad that most of that actually happened. So the backstory: my grandfather, at the time, was about 75. He got divorced a few years before the story happened, and at that time remarried my step-grandma. She was about 55, so she was quite younger than him. At first, she seemed quite nice, as we are literally living next door to my grandpa's place. We have a very close relationship. We share a garden with my granddad and basically saw each other every day. My grandpa was developing dementia at the time, so we didn't realize she only wanted him for his money. He had an old quarry in which we were also living, and the land got quite valuable, and the town we live in just began building houses all around the quarry. Apart from that, she just had a lot of life savings, which then she proceeded to waste. She already had a son, who was about 35, who himself was divorced and a useless fat piece of trash without a job, but a severe drinking and aggression problem. And his son, which we'll call a poor kid, sometimes stayed at Granddad's place and was about my age, and he was a slow learner, but a really nice kid, and we got along quite well, especially because playing in the old quarry was a lot of fun for both of us. My mom and dad taught me reading and writing at a very early age, and I was quite interested in it as well. So I was somewhat far ahead of the poor kid in that regard, which his entitled parent didn't like at all, so from the point on she realized she hated me. This went as far as trying to poison me by pouring fertilizer in my drink, which luckily my mother noticed and stopped me from drinking it. The entitled parent just denied everything and acted like nothing happened. She also gave me a fish with fish bones in it, which I didn't know of, and as I was still young, didn't know to check for, which resulted in me choking on them, but my mother realized and helped me to get it out. She also placed the lime close to where I was usually playing at multiple occasions, for no apparent reason. You get blind when this stuff into your eyes, and it looks similar to sand, which I was often playing with. Then she even planted really poisonous flowers right next to our door and poured oil and cleaning chemicals into a small pond our 2 dogs were drinking from, which she knew of, especially as they had a dog themselves, which she wouldn't let them drink from the pond anymore, which resulted in one of them dying and the other one having to be put down due to suffering severe pain. When I was about 5, my mother forbid me any contact with the entitled parent, which also meant I lost contact with the poor kid. So the son later moved into my granddad's basement and continued living there drinking all day, harassing me and my parents, and on top of that, he as well as entitled parent collected all kinds of garbage, turning the once beautiful house of my granddad into a landfill. My granddad didn't really intervene and was kind of on the side of the entitled parent. It took about 10 years for my dad to finally convince him what a jerk entitled parent is, and they, together with my uncle, even managed to get her out of his heritage contract, which means she is neither getting any of the land nor the house of my granddad. She moved out just a few months ago with the son, and me and my dad are now busy renovating the house. This crazy jerk just kept any junk she found. For example, the entire basement is filled with cheap €1 vases. She also never cleaned anything, so there is mold and dust all over the place. So, TLDR, the step-grandmother hates me for being smarter than her grandson and tries to kill me. Wow. Gold diggers can often be bad people for more reason than one. And on to the final story for today. Entitled mom demands I date her straight son. So this weird thing happened today. So I'm a trap who can easily change the pitch of my voice. Then there's the entitled mother and her entitled 14-year-old teenage boy. So here's the story. I was walking on my way home from school when I see some random Karen with her 14-year-old son behind me. I really don't care about them, so I just walk along my typical route. Suddenly I feel someone tapping my shoulder. I look back and I see the teenager. He says, hi. I say, hi, is there something wrong, or why did you tap my shoulder? He says, you look nice. I mean, I'm a femboy, and I look almost perfectly like a flat-chested girl. I say, well, thanks. The mom looks at the two of us excitedly. The teen says, I want to go on a date with you. Where and when should it be? I say, I'm sorry that I have to let you down, but I'm already in a relationship. Oh, and I'm a guy. If you were straight, you're asking out the wrong person. The teen suddenly turns pale white and just mumbled, oh, sorry. I start walking again, thinking nothing about it. Suddenly, the entitled mom comes up, grabs my shoulder, and tries to turn me around. I look at her, and she looks like she's really mad. She says, you selfish whore, why aren't you dating my son? I say, calm down. I'm sorry that I rejected. You better be sorry. Stop yelling at me. No, I will keep yelling at you until you kiss my son. I say, is your son straight? Yes, now kiss him or else. Now, in my lower male voice, well, you came to the wrong person. I'm not going to kiss anyone except my boyfriend and family members, no matter how good they look. I'm loyal to my boyfriend, and I'm not going to cheat on him with your son. Sorry for the inconvenience. I walk away and I can hear entitled mom screaming at me. How could you? You F-word. My son deserves better. You're ugly anyways. Anticlimactic ending, but still an a-hole entitled mom. You must be a pretty good-looking trap if you can, completely fool somebody. Anyways, that's all for Entitled Parents. Seeing how these videos are the only ones I make that people actually want to watch, I'll probably just keep doing this then. So, thanks for watching.